Hello, my name is Connor, and I'm an interpreter on the Wild Encounters team. And thank you for coming to Night Hunters to listen to my chat about vampire bats. So, here in the habitat behind me, there are about 175 to 200 common vampire bats. You can see them climbing along the walls, see them climbing along the ground. They are native to Central and South America, primarily in Brazil, but you can also find them in Argentina, Uruguay, and Chile. And they live about 20 to 25 years. As we continue to talk about vampire bats, I'm also going to use them as an opportunity to make a connection to local wildlife. And the animal that I want to talk about as well is the bats that are in our area. So we have an insect eating bat here in Ohio and all throughout the Midwest called the little brown bat. And they are a great use for the ecosystem, and they do a good service for people because they eat pests. So they're going to be eating gnats, moths, and majorly important to us, mosquitoes. So by having them in your area, that is a really good way to keep your pest populations down. And so yeah, they do a great service to the ecosystem. So we know that the little brown bat and bats in our area, one role that they have. But what about the role of the vampire bats? Are they useful? Do they provide a service to humans in any way? And the answer is yes, they do. So vampire bats have an anticoagulant in their saliva, and this is important for them because it makes lapping up blood easier. But as far as humans are concerned, this anticoagulant has been studied and it has been used to create and enhance blood thinner medication, which is important because that helps prevent the formation of blood clotting. So it's very useful for humans. But many of the bat species around the world and here in Ohio as well are affected by a fungal disease called white nose syndrome. And something you can do to help the declining bat species because of things like this, because of things like habitat loss and urban development, you can build a bat box or you can buy a bat box. And this is going to help bats in the same way that bird boxes help birds. So it's a simple concept, but it can go a long way. And it will not only help the bat populations, but it will help keep your pest population down. So if you don't like mosquitoes, this is a great thing to have. If you need any more information about that, you can look at the zoo's website. Now, vampire bats are the only mammal capable of true flight. They have a thin membrane from the tips of their fingers all the way down to their ankles that allows them to very easily just do small little motions, flapping motions, then they can fly through the air. And if you look behind me, I'm sure you'll see a little bit of that going on. So when they're flying, they can see, they have eyesight, but they're also using echolocation. It is very dark in there, and there is red and blue light in there. The red light they cannot see, so those areas are very dark. There is blue light, which is sort of simulating moonlight, which they can see, but there's only a little bit of moonlight in there for them. And because of that, and in the wild, a lot of times they're in pitch black, they do need another way to help them navigate, and this is echolocation. So during echolocation, they emit a high-pitched noise that will bounce off of objects, and it bounces back to them, and this gives them an idea of the obstacles around them and what their space looks like around them. And it is a really impressive sort of way that they navigate through very tiny spaces at very high speeds that I've noticed here in our habitat. So a lot of different animals, they actually use echolocation, like whales, dolphins, and even humans in the form of submarines, mainly just to avoid obstacles, but it's also used to find food. So vampire bats will be using it to find their food of choice, which is livestock. So they will land on livestock. They'll come out of the caves, they'll land on livestock at night, and they will crawl along until they, with the help of their nose, because it is colder than the rest of their body, they're able to detect where the blood is closest to the surface of the skin to um, they need to do as little work as possible. They use their specialized teeth to make small incisions, and then they lap up blood. So, contrary to the popular uh, understanding of a vampire, they're not sucking blood, they're rather lapping the blood out, like a dog will drink water. And on that note, this is actually their blood is where they're getting their water requirement. So, they never just drink pure water. They're getting all of their nutrition requirements from one single source, blood. So yeah, we get 5 gallons of blood a week here at the Cincinnati Zoo. We get it from a Stellan's Meat Market here in Cincinnati. But before we used to get the blood, and now it's mixed up to prevent clotting with a centrifuge. But before that, and we had that machinery, we used the keeper said that they used to take the hairiest guy and have him stick his arm in the blood and just stir it up to prevent clotting. And we also change the bowls that we pour the blood into every single day to prevent clotting. And as you look into the habitat, you may see that the vampire bats are spending time in groups, and this is because they are social animals. They will do something that is called food sharing. So if there is an elderly, an injured, or a very young animal, the healthier members of the colony will go out, they'll feed, and they'll actually bring blood back. That's called food sharing. It is found in a couple animals, in different species in the animal kingdom, like African painted dogs, Asian elephants, and primates. They all do that. And there are some other animals, but the reason they're doing this is just to increase the odds of survival for the colony. But I hope you guys had fun learning about vampire bats and bats in general. If you guys have any more questions, just let me know.